Hello, and welcome back. Today, we are looking at Discover Your Primary Behavior Domain, the final principle of the self-awareness behavior domain. As you make the journey to self-awareness, one of the most important things to remember is that you are the perfect you, right now, right here, in this moment. Your job, your family, your community, your life is exactly as it should be right now, for you to be the perfect you, right here in this moment. As you hone your skill of positive presence and practice every day the conscious thought processes to create and adjust to a positive and energized mindset from which you can apply the positive presence behavior competencies of influential leadership, you will ultimately enhance your behavior capacity for performance excellence in your life, at work, and at home. This enhanced behavior capacity allows you to rise above the emotional aspect of any situation so that you can make the most effective choice that will produce the optimal outcome toward your goals and your dreams. Your human existence depends on social relationships, and the success of any organization depends on the life-giving power of relationships among its people. Socially focused organizations have the ability to form positive, energized relationships that are built to survive today's chaos, ambiguity, and complexity. As a leader, knowing your personal behavior style and how it impacts others creates social intelligence within your organization. When you know your own style and have an understanding of the other distinct styles, you are able to adjust and change your social interaction to lead, inspire, and motivate others to be the best they can be. Your ability to adjust and change requires an open mind and an open heart. It requires you to relax and receive without bias or prejudice. It requires a conscious effort and practice. Your ability to quiet the mind chatter and focus in the moment, your ability to be present in the moment is a huge accomplishment and one that we will continue to practice a lot. My friend Dina Proctor is a living testament to the fact that meditation and mindfulness not only brings peace and clarity, it can be used to train our brain for focus. I have adapted one of Dina's 3x3s into a mini meditation, a mini-med, to open your mind. The music that accompanies the mini-meds is a type of brainwave music. Brainwave music has been proven to move a person into a more positive mental and emotional attitude. The clip that you are hearing is typical of the theta brainwave state, which has proven benefits such as a deeper connection to one's emotions, increased intuition, greater levels of energy and relaxation, enhanced self-awareness, and a greater ability to enter into a highly focused, effortless learning state. So please, close your eyes and take a deep, deep breath. Welcome to the mini-med for thought cleansing for an open mind. For these couple of minutes, I invite you to find a comfortable position for your body and let every muscle relax any tension right now. You may be feeling that there are so many thoughts, it just feels like your brain is so crowded and you would love to be able to just have a thorough cleansing, to have any thoughts that no longer serve you, to be easily removed and released, and to have those good flowering thoughts be even more deeply planted in your mind. Imagine that there's a warm ball of light energy that is surrounding your physical being and concentrated right around your head, just bringing a feeling of warm, supportive love around your mind and your brain. This warm light and this ball of energy is easily able to infiltrate right into your brain, right into every aspect of your mind. Let this energy in and invite it to do its work. Let it encompass every brain cell,
every dimension of your mind and weed out, easily releasing any thoughts that no longer serve you, and rewire any thinking that needs to be rewired right now. If there's something specific that's been bothering you, invite the warm, healing light to handle that situation, to come in and sort out the useful thoughts, and easily release any thoughts that are blocking your solution and your movement forward. Just really staying still and letting this light energy do all the work. It's cleaning and purifying your thoughts and rewiring the way that your thoughts are stored in your brain. Let yourself just settle and breathe deeply as this light does its work, maintaining that deep stillness and peaceful trust that this light energy is doing great positive work for you right now. And now, let your body take one last deep breath in, knowing that the thoughts remaining are those that serve you best and are grounded and present in solution and love, moving you forward. Come back to awareness. Notice your surroundings. What do you see? Is there anyone beside you? Across from you? What sounds do you hear?
The importance of self-awareness cannot be overstated. Your thought and behavior habits are perfectly designed to get the results they are getting. The question is, are your habits taking you where you want to go? At the same time, far too many of today's leaders are unaware of how they are perceived by their peers and subordinates. How they see themselves drives their behavior. Often, leaders in places of authority and success-level positions are protective of the behavior they believe is the source of their success. They are unaware of the disruption they cause, and their behavior lapses are obvious to everyone but to themselves. A habit is a behavior or attitude we keep repeating. A habit is something we do so often it becomes almost automatic. Each of us develops certain habits that gradually become firmly embedded in our life and work. Being aware of our patterns is essential to utilizing and leveraging our strengths, as well as identifying and correcting our barriers. We don't determine our future. We determine our habits, and our habits determine our future. This personal discipline of awareness is about how your habits help or hinder you achieving your goals and living your values. If you cannot give an affirmative answer to the question, are your habits taking you where you want to go? Then if not, it is time to change your habits. You have heard me say that you cannot lead others to be the best they can be until you first commit yourself to being your very best self. Knowing and practicing what it takes to be your very best self is hard work. It takes time, and in many instances, it takes a lot of courage. What's more, knowing and practicing the necessary balance between being your very best self and being the best you can be for others is crucial. In healthcare particularly, where you actually sign up to give of yourself to others, and more often than not, you are personally fulfilled and gratified in that role. There is a very fine line between looking after others and looking after yourself. In fact, in today's atmosphere of ambiguity, complexity, and financial restraints leading to high-stress work environments, there is ample potential for a diminished state of what they call professional quality of life. More than half of healthcare workers suffer from role overload, a situation that is damaging their physical and mental health and putting many on the fast track to burnout, compassion fatigue, and/or vicarious trauma. Role overload is not caused by the number of hours worked. but rather by the increasing complexity of the work, the complex interdependence, the constant competing priorities, and a culture in which every task is urgent and it is unacceptable to say no. In today's complex, ambiguous, and fast-changing organizations, many employees suffer from role overload, a situation that is damaging their physical and mental health and putting many on the fast track to burnout, compassion fatigue, and/or vicarious trauma. Role overload is not caused by the number of hours worked, but rather by the increasing complexity of the work, the complex interdependence, the constant competing priorities, and a culture in which every task is urgent and it is unacceptable to say no. Burnout can be described as the overwhelming physical and emotional exhaustion that workers can experience when they have low job satisfaction and feel powerless and overwhelmed at work. This is where your skill of positive presence becomes critical. Choosing the thoughts that will keep you in a mindset that is positive and energized at work, on the job, is critical. Research has found that the very process of empathy that makes you good at your job and fulfills and gratifies you makes you vulnerable to being profoundly affected by burnout, compassion fatigue, and vicarious trauma. Burnout can be found in all occupations and in any work environment that is stressful. Within the work environment, burnout is at one end of a continuum, whereas at the other end of the continuum, people experience energy, are involved with their work, and experience feelings of effectiveness. The two primary drivers of burnout include excessive workload and conflicts of personal values with organizational values. Burnout comes on slowly, but there are specific steps that have been identified in the process, such as you begin with loving your job, loving your life, and high ambition to succeed. As time goes on, you work harder and you work longer. You begin to neglect your emotional, physical, and spiritual needs. Life starts to feel unfulfilling. And then there is a change in your work efficiency, and you deny work-related problems. Then there is social withdrawal, changes in your behavior, and a depersonalization of your job. You may have feelings of emptiness, and then depression, and finally, physical and emotional collapse. Remember, too, that you do not have to take this journey alone. Creating and maintaining a strong and positive support system of peers and colleagues is important. Also, when you are clear on your personal values and purpose and have aligned them to your organization's values, mission, and vision, you will have the power to stay focused and also to reach out and help others. Compassion fatigue, also called secondary traumatic stress or vicarious trauma, is a type of burnout but far more pervasive. It appears in occupations dealing directly with trauma victims. It can even emerge in you if you have been witness to some traumatic experience. In business circles, compassion fatigue has been called the cost of caring and can be described, in other words, as an emotional desensitization one undergoes when faced with trauma on a consistent basis. Again, this is where your skill of positive presence becomes critical. Choosing the thoughts that will keep you in a mindset that is positive and energized at work, on the job, is critical. The aspect of your work over which you have control is you, your thoughts, your feelings, your action, your behavior. A deep understanding of the human condition of perceiving is critical. Perceiving is the process of using the senses to acquire information about the surrounding environment or situation. Without awareness, our perception is driven by our brain's default setting to find a match from a previous life experience. When we apply our skill of positive presence and look at the situation with a positive and energized mindset, only then will we have the ability to choose the most effective behavior for the optimal outcome. This picture is a great example of perception. Who sees a young woman? Who sees an old woman? Who can see both? There are 3 levels of self-awareness, and we pass through all 3 levels as we adapt and acquire self-awareness as a performance behavior skill. At level 1, we recognize our habits. You cannot change what you are unwilling to see in your own habits. Another term for perspective is focus frame. You can get locked into your own focus frame and lose a great deal of perception and perspective in the process. At level 2, you understand how your habits impact other people. It takes a lot of awareness and discipline and practice to avoid the trap of confirmation bias. This is a mental thing where we look to find what we are predisposed to be looking for in people and events. It's a type of self-fulfilling prophecy that leads to distortion of our focus frame and perspective. At level 3, this is where we take action to change and improve. This step requires a great deal of courage and honesty, and it requires 4 essential elements, commitments from yourself, if you will, to ensure success. First, let go of the past. Second, develop a passion for truth-telling. Third, be supportive and helpful in all you do. And finally, start with one behavior and habit change at a time. This slide illustrates how different people focus on different aspects of a situation. No 2 people have the same focus frame because no 2 people think the same or have had the exact same life experiences. Even when we hear the same words or see the same event, your focus will be different than mine. In the workplace, this becomes a key factor, and getting everyone on the same page can be challenging. Furthermore, many people tend to invest significant emotional energy into defending their focus frame rather than seeking to understand other aspects of the circle of reality. Again, we must proactively and intentionally seek to understand what is outside our personal focus frame, knowing always that there are not just one, but many differing perspectives, perceptions, and realities. The key is to keep an open and quizzical mind, to be clear on the mission, vision, and purpose of your organization, to be clear on your values, your purpose, and the ever-changing environment that you find yourself in, to pause, reflect, and ask questions, always striving to bring a positive and energized energy in harmony with those around you. Reality means real existence, an actual being or existence, as opposed to an imaginary, idealized, or false nature. Here, we see some common examples of misconceived perception. Perception 1, not motivated to work quickly. Reality is, individual takes time to process information. Perception 2 is direct and curt. Reality is, the person is task-focused. Perception 3, always talking, does not get work done. The reality is, the person is energized by people. And finally, perception 4, doesn't want to make own decisions. The reality is, prefers a strong leader. An influential leader always chooses the most positive mode of perception. Always. If your perception is of a negative nature, you must stop and reflect, and then give the benefit of the doubt. Then, if and when your perception proves incorrect, find the most positive approach to address the issue. This is the reality matrix or Johari window model that is widely used for self-awareness, personal development, group development, and understanding relationship. It was developed in 1955 by psychologists Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham, hence the name, and is still used today as a visual representation of a person's character. The goal is to expand quadrant 1, which is the top left quadrant, vertically through self-disclosure or exposure, and in doing so, diminish the private or hidden area, which is quadrant 3 in the bottom left. And also, we want to expand quadrant 1, top left quadrant, horizontally through feedback or solicitation, and in doing so, we diminish the blind area, which is quadrant 2 at the top right. At the same time, through self-discovery and the observations of others, you will diminish your area of unknown or undiscovered. Performance excellence and strong relationships depend on trust. One of the most effective ways of building trust with others is by disclosing information about yourself and soliciting feedback from which you build your awareness for improving relationships. Using this model in a group setting will help build awareness and relationships within the group, improve communications, enhance relationship skills, and increase metacognitive abilities. Quadrant 1, top left, is the most important quadrant, and as it expands, you will not only improve your ability to communicate honestly and openly, you will strengthen relationships with all those around you. Successful people possess a very large quadrant 1, which is also called the open or free area, the arena, or the public quadrant. This quadrant represents all the things you know about yourself and that others know about you, including your behavior, knowledge, skills, capabilities, attitudes, thoughts, feelings, and public history. This quadrant is where you are the happiest, where others are aligned with you, and there is positive verbal and nonverbal communication. Trust and cooperation are at their highest here. It is in this area that goals are attained and success is realized. The blind area is quadrant 2 at the top right. It is not an effective or productive space for individuals or groups to be in. Influential leaders take responsibility for reducing this area by first asking for feedback, and then by giving sensitive, non-judgmental feedback, encouraging feedback and/or disclosure, and creating an environment without fear. The hidden area, quadrant 3, is at the bottom left. It is also known as the private area, the facade, or the mask area, and includes sensitivities, fears, hidden agendas, manipulative intentions, secrets, anything that a person knows but does not reveal. Your organizational culture and working atmosphere have a major influence on team members' preparedness to disclose their hidden selves. The unknown area is quadrant 4 at the bottom right. It is also known as the undiscovered or unconscious area, and it is the part of yourself that neither you nor other people see. Influential leaders create an environment that promotes the processes of self-discovery, constructive observation, and feedback among team members. With your newfound self-awareness comes the need to bring your awareness to the environment around you. To start, make a mental note of people and situations that trigger your negative feelings and thoughts. You may notice that the negative moods and thinking of a toxic person can be extremely pervasive and emotionally draining. The nervous energy, the anger at life and everyone in it, the sadness, the complaints, the clinginess, attention-seeking, the gossips, the consistently negative viewpoint. These negative attitudes will suck the positive out of even the most upbeat and positive person. For some, the best defense is to avoid the toxic people and/or situation, or at the very least to keep the encounter to a very minimum. But what if that is not an option? The first step is to consciously acknowledge that negativity is being sent your way. The next step is to consciously refuse to allow the negativity into your mind. You might even want to create a personal signal to remind yourself throughout the encounter to keep deflecting the negative conversation and energy that's beaming at you. Your personal signal might be pulling a piece of your hair, or digging your thumbnail into your palm, or flicking your wrist, or tapping somewhere on your opposite hand. Whatever the signal, it will be your conscious reminder that you must ward off the negative. The one thing nobody can take away from you is the way you choose to respond to what others say and do. Your personal signal that reminds you to ward off the negative is your cue to choose an appropriate attitude and response to protect your positive space. It is important to keep in mind that life is a series of ups and downs. Acknowledge the negativity, never take it personal, and let it pass right through your consciousness. Concentrate on today, right this moment. Do not carry around things that happened yesterday or a week ago. Let go and move on, and forgive yourself of any wrongdoings of the past. Consciously practice finding the positive and good in everyday interactions and in everything around you. Be thankful always in everything you do and for where you are at this moment. It could always be worse. The more time you spend in the positive, whether it's time spent with highly positive people or quiet moments of your own, the easier it will become for you to deflect the negative vibes that toxic people send out. To be successful as a leader in today's complex, ambiguous, fast-changing, and highly demanding work environment of healthcare, all leaders and managers need easy to get, easy to use information that explains why people act the way they do and what motivates them. You need actionable items that help you know how an individual can be coached, understood, and engaged. And you need an understanding of key behavioral factors that critically impact success, providing information that makes every person you coach more valuable and productive. As a result of the expense attached to professional coaching, there is a huge shift throughout organizations in all industries to implement a coaching mindset for culture shifts and for sustaining a positive and energized culture. It is a process-based, steady progression focusing on your goals and your individual situation to create an environment of learning about yourself. Neuroscience and quantum physics has proven that we can train our minds to change our brains. In an abstract sense, our life is a flow of energy and information. We can think of our mind as our brain in action and must remember that it is a continuous, ongoing process. These processes involve a flow of information and energy. Neither human brains nor human minds exist without social relationships. Using your skill of positive presence enables you to cultivate a coaching mindset for a positive flow of emotional energy within yourself and with those around you, to create a system-wide perspective of flexibility and change to create a positive flow of social relationships. The consequence of not knowing why people act the way they do and what motivates them, of not knowing how an individual can be coached, understood, and engaged, and of not knowing the key behavioral factors that critically impact success are devastating to performance. You will see decreased productivity. You will see people not asking for help, people not sharing information. You will notice people won't tell the truth, and they will have a my way or the highway approach. There will be missed deadlines and rework and poor quality of work and chronic absenteeism from both mental and physical illnesses. This slide introduces us to the situational leadership model. As the name implies, under this theory, leadership depends upon each individual situation, and no single leadership style can be considered the best. For Hershey and Blanchard, tasks are different, and each type of task requires a different leadership style. A good leader will be able to adapt her or his leadership to the goals or objectives to be accomplished. Goal setting, capacity to assume responsibility, education, and experience are main factors that make a leader successful. Not only is the leadership style important for a successful leader-led situation, but the ability and the desire of those being led is also a critical factor as well. So not only do you need to know and understand your own personal behavior domain, but you need to know and understand the behaviors of those you work with and be able to flex and change accordingly, to have the agility to inspire, motivate, and engage them for increased productivity, strong working relationships, and better physical and mental health. Before we leave the foundational behavior domain of self-awareness, just one last word about your values and how they affect your thinking. Knowing your values is extremely important to acquiring the skill of positive presence. A value system is a set of consistent values and measures. Some values are physiologically determined and are normally considered objective, such as a desire to avoid physical pain or to seek pleasure. Other values are considered subjective. They vary across individuals and cultures and are in many ways aligned with belief and belief systems. Values reflect a person's sense of right or wrong, or what ought to be. They identify what should be judged as good or evil for us. Values are abstract concepts of what is important and worthwhile. Equal rights for all. Excellence deserves admiration. And people should be treated with respect and dignity. These all are representative of values. Values tend to influence attitudes and behavior. Different cultures reflect values differently and to different levels of emphasis. You may claim to understand your own values, but real awareness does not arise until you have articulated them clearly in writing and tested them through daily decision making. Your personal values are there to guide behavior and choice, much the same as business core values. Identifying your values and then living in sync with them allows for living in harmony with your choices. Your choice of friendships, relationships, profession, and business partnerships. How you choose to manage your personal resources, such as time and money, and how to stay true to yourself. Without personal value clarity, you will suffer from cognitive dissonance, a term often used to describe the feelings of discomfort that result from holding two conflicting beliefs. Without personal value clarity, you will ultimately suffer from stress, low emotional energy, lack of motivation, low productivity at work and at home, poor relationships, and overall poor health. Understand that as we grow and as we change, our values may also change, and so it is good to check in every once in a while to make sure you're still clear and can articulate your personal values. A clear and concise picture of your beliefs and values as they exist today is essential for enlightened leadership and a life of harmony. Mahatma Gandhi said it best, "Your beliefs become your thoughts. Your thoughts become your words. Your words become your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your values. And your values become your destiny." And so it is that your values arise through your thoughts, your thought habits. The way you think ultimately drives your destiny. As we allow the most recent information to settle into our brain, let's take a moment for a personal check-in. This means that it's time to be mindful, a time to pause and ask yourself questions. So please close your eyes. The reason you must close your eyes when you do exercises like this is because your eyes bombard your brain with messages at the speed of light. So fast, in fact, that for the most part, it is completely unconscious to you. So now, take a deep, deep breath and repeat with me, either silently or aloud. What sort of feelings have I had since my last check-in? And count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What have my thought patterns been like since my last check-in? And count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What have my behavior patterns been like since my last check-in? And count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And open your eyes. Having first been introduced to this in your positive present skill building, you should be getting into the habit of doing this by now, and you may even have noticed and even been surprised by some of the answers that are coming to you. Regardless of what the answers are, there is no answer that is ever wrong or bad. The goal is for your feelings, your thoughts, and your behaviors to move you with peace and grace toward what you want, whatever that may be. A personal check-in is also a good opportunity for you to do a physical body scan. You've been sitting for a while now, and you will need to stretch your muscles. So, either sitting or you can stand, and make a conscious effort to bring your body to a state of relaxed anticipation. Beginning at the top of your head, as you slowly breathe in and then out, I want you to first consciously acknowledge the top of your head, your scalp, and then focus on relaxing your scalp. Next, consciously acknowledge your face, and then focus on relaxing your face. Now, your arms and your hands. Gently shake them out. Now your chest, your abdomen, your hips, your legs, and your feet. Wiggle your toes and stretch it out and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, if you are standing, please take a seat. And again, please close your eyes. This time, I would ask you to repeat after me, either silently or aloud. Please allow my mind to be open and accepting of all information coming to me, that I may think upon it in the days to come. Now open your eyes. You will never lead other people successfully, influentially, if you do not lead your own self well. Benjamin Franklin wrote, "A man wrapped up in himself makes a very small bundle." Self-aware people know and are comfortable talking about their strengths and their weaknesses, and they have a thirst for feedback on how their behavior impacts other people. However, people with no or very low self-awareness misguidedly interpret the messages that they need to improve their behavior as a threat or a sign of weakness. In the worst case, they not only reject the message, but shoot the proverbial messenger in the process. So as you take some time in just a few minutes for discussion and for putting pen to paper, allow your mind to stay open and your energy field to be high and positive. In doing so, you will be comfortable talking about your strengths and your barriers. You will be the person with a thirst for feedback and a hunger to behave so others can be their best. The skill of positive presence, your ability to adjust for and create a positive and energized mindset through conscious thought processes, requires a focused self-awareness for a new way of thinking and being. It is a way of thinking that focuses on improving the emotional energy flow within us and around us, at home, at work, and in our community. It is a purposeful way of thinking and behaving that brings us life and strengthens every human relationship. And in the same way we exercise for physical strength and wellness, we will take a few moments to listen to a mini-med to exercise for cognitive strength and train our brain. So please, close your eyes and take a deep, deep breath.
Welcome to the mini-med for training your brain. For the next few minutes, I invite you to sit comfortably and find a place of calm, peaceful stillness within you, letting any thoughts and any tension melt completely out of your body. As you let your body settle in, and as you feel your shoulders relaxing and your thoughts releasing, I invite you to consider a visual representation of the neural pathways of your brain, the thought patterns of your brain. You might imagine them to be like roadways, or railroad tracks, or canyons where energy or water would flow through them. And identify in your brain which are the old thought patterns, the old pathways that you wish to withdraw attention and energy from, and then identify where the newly formed pathways are being laid. Two separate areas of your brain, like roadways or paths, one well-worn and one newly formed. Now imagine that the energy source that has been wearing down those old brain patterns, those old neural pathways, that energy source is withdrawing, like a riverbed drying up from lack of water. Those old, worn pathways are drying up and no longer being used regularly. The energy source is shifting. You can feel it shift. You know that it's shifting and leaving behind the old pathways. The energy is flowing toward the newly formed pathways. It's physically altering the way that you think and the way that your mind works. This energy source gently flows, softly shaping new thought patterns, new ways of thinking, new pathways in your brain and in your mind. This energy source is deepening the new pathways so that they will become your most well-worn ways of thinking. So now, take one more moment and imagine this energy source deepening and solidifying new neural pathways in your brain, gently withdrawing attention where you no longer like it to flow, and easily and effortlessly maintaining and shaping your new thought patterns from here going forward.
Come back to awareness. Notice your surroundings. What do you see? Is there anyone beside you? What sounds do you hear? We are now going to take time for reflection. This reflection time is referred to as table time because this exercise is created to be shared with a discussion group of your peers. Feel free to gather around a table with your colleagues or head over to Corporate Harmony's virtual discussion group. This is also a time to stay focused on task. Be present in the moment, right here. You will see notes pages at the end of the manual section for personal use in gathering insights and questions as you move through the material. So take time to put pen to paper. There are never any wrong or bad answers. Seeing your words on paper allows your brain to open up to even greater possibilities. Putting your thoughts and feelings to words on paper opens your mind to your inner wisdom and greatness. Enjoy this time and share your insights with the discussion group. You will find this slide on page 21 of Chapter 4 in your manual. Next session, you will identify your personal behavior style, and we will conclude our look at the foundational behavior domain of influential leadership. So, until then, live each moment of each day with harmony and purpose, and allow your grandest dreams to come true.